Today we're going to talk about some songwriting. Now I want to walk you through how I wrote my new song, Forget You, because it's a really fun one, and I think I wrote it in kind of an interesting way. So hopefully it'll help you with writing your own songs, or it's just a fun behind the scenes. So this is a song I wrote almost 4 years ago now, and it started with the very first line. It was, I'm fine, but that's always what I say when I'm lying. And when I had that kind of line in my head, I knew I had something that could become a full song. Because I think after you start writing more and more songs, you get really good at sifting what's good and what's not before you've even written the song. Because sometimes you write a full song and be like, oh, it's garbage, and trash it. So kind of nipping it in the bud before you waste any time on it is a good skill to kind of learn. So I knew I had something good here with that line, and I tried a few things behind it. And the first chord progression was actually something very different than the final song. So the first chord progression ended up being something like this. It was, I'm fine. It's always what I say when I'm lying. And it went somewhere completely different as well. So it was something like that, and I played around with that for a few days. I didn't love that chord progression, but I still loved that first line. And one thing that I was thinking about with that chord progression was that something I'm accused of a lot, and I think I realized at the time, was that I have a lot of chords in my songs. Sometimes I put too many, I think. Because I really love complex harmony, and I love interesting chords, and I love movement, but sometimes that can be a hindrance. So I was starting to think, how can I make something simple and interesting? Thinking about a lot of pop songs on the radio that only have like 2 or 3 chords or 4 chord songs, something like that, and that have the same chords in the verse and the chorus. I'm like, well, how can I do that and make that interesting, keep that me? So I set kind of a challenge or limitation for myself with this song. I thought, let's just try and use 2 chords. See what we can do with 2 chords in this whole song to make it interesting. So like I said, giving myself a challenge or limitation made it, more fun and helped kind of focus me in that direction. So I was thinking, what chords could I use? What kind of harmony do I want? And so I was thinking about songs I loved at the time. 2 songs I had on repeat were, one is Still Feel Like Your Man by John Mayer, right? That's the verse, right? And that verse only has 2 chords. It's a D major 7 to an A11. And it's all over A. But so I really love that progression. And then another song I had on repeat was called On Top of the World by Stephen Day. And the chorus is, we were on top. We were on top of the world. We were on top. Right? Same chorus. We were on top of the world. So was that still at A11 to D major? And I was like, oh, maybe there's a reason I love those 2 songs specifically, and maybe it's those chords. And I've always really loved an 11 chord. And that A11, it can also be thought of as a G chord with an A in the bass. And that's just such a great chord, such a lovely chord, because it has really interesting harmonic information. And it can go a lot of different places, and you can use it in a lot of contexts. And it's kind of, the chord of pop in the 80s, right? Think of like Luther Vandross. Those are all 11 chords moving around. Something like Rock With You, There's 11 chords moving around. I wanna rock with you. Right, so those 11 chords I think are really interesting and kind of can be up for interpretation a lot and move in a lot of different directions. So I was like, that's definitely what I'm going to use. So then I was starting to think of different keys and where to go from there. And so because I knew I was going to write this song for an album, there's a lot of other things to keep in mind when you're writing a song. One is tempo. You don't want to have all the songs in the album be the same tempo. And you don't want to have all the songs in the album be the same key. So I had to keep that in mind because I'd already written a song in G, in A flat, in F, and in E. So that first chord progression, I had it in E. So I'm like, well, I like where that sat in my vocal range, but I don't want to have another song in E, so let's try it in E flat. So we take those 2 chords, that B flat 11 to E flat major 7. And there we have the chords of the song. So I'm like, sweet, I've got my 2 chords, and I can jump from there. And another kind of limitation I set on myself with this one was I wanted to write a duet specifically. And part of that is because I knew what the song was going to be about. I wanted it to be about moving on and kind of what moving on meant after a big relationship. Because I just gone through a big breakup, and I was struggling with all those different emotions and trying to sort through that. So I wanted to write a song about that, but I wanted it to be a duet because I wanted to explore both sides of the relationship. Because so many duets are kind of standard love songs, and not a lot explore kind of the aftermath of relationships. This I thought would be kind of interesting to look at it from both perspectives, especially because a lot of breakup songs are one-sided, right? They're talking about, oh, she wronged me, now I'm so heartbroken. But I wanted to explore something I think a little more mature, maybe introspective, maybe a little more emotionally stable. and had some more depth to it. So I was thinking less about how they wronged me and more about how if you've been in a relationship for a long time, there's so much good that you don't want to lose, right? You've had so many great memories, you have friends together, you have shared moments together, you have all these things that shape who you are as a person. And so many times you hear people saying, move on, right? Forget about that person. And it's like, you can't really, because they're a big part of your life. So that was the big basis of this song. And knowing, having my 2 chords, having my first line, knowing I wanted it to be duet, all of a sudden I have a really strong and clear focus for writing the rest of the song. So then I had kind of a trajectory of how I wanted the song to go. So I wanted to have 2 verses, 1 verse kind of introducing the song, and that's, I'm fine, it's always what I say when I'm lying. I've been staring at the ceiling, my eyes are getting red, cause I've forgotten how to sleep in an empty bed. So that first verse sets up our premise. You know, I'm fine, but that's what I always say when I'm lying. You know, you're telling your friends that you're okay, but really there's something going on inside. And then it's like, well, why is that happening? My eyes are getting red. There's imagery of me. I've forgotten how to sleep in an empty bed. Okay, we have context. You've just gone through something where you've had this breakup and you're dealing with it. All of a sudden you have the intro for the whole song. And then verse 2 explores the more specifics. I'm stuck. What am I supposed to do with all your stuff? I could give you back your papers, the books you never read, but I can't return the memories in my head. And this is what I wanted to have more imagery, more everyday things. I want to keep things grounded, right? If you go through breakup, you have their things, right? And you don't really know what to do with them. Do you want to go see them again and drop off their stuff? Do they care? And then I take it a little bit further as you branch into a chorus by saying, but I can't return the memories in my head. Because even if I did give back all that stuff, that doesn't change anything, right? It doesn't immediately make everything go away. And so that's kind of how I'm building these different sections. So I've got this trajectory of the introduction to the song with that first verse, second verse, building on a little bit into a chorus. And then I know I wanted me singing a chorus. And then the next verse, I'd want the other person in the duet to sing, who is Saoirse, such an incredible artist, a fantastic voice. We went to school together in Toronto, and I've always just absolutely loved her voice. So we're so happy that she could be part of this song and just absolutely crushed it. But anyway, so she was singing that verse. So I knew I'd have her sing that verse and then have her own chorus. And then I knew I'd want a bridge where we'd kind of sing the bridge together. And then the last chorus would also be, we'd sing that together. So I've got this roadmap in my head and I'm building it up. So I've got these 2 chords in our verse. And I know I'm going to use them again in the chorus. But the thing is, how do I make it interesting? If we have our kind of 3 main elements of music, we've got a rhythm, our harmony, our melody. If our harmony stays the same, right, our chords, we want a rhythm and our melody to change and be more interesting. So rhythmically, in that first verse, I'm kind of keeping it a bit syncopated. It's more chill, it's laid back. Right? Kind of emphasizing the 2 and 4 with those hits, right? And then in the chorus, I knew I wanted it to hit really hard. I was thinking very kind of 70s yacht rock almost, but a little more modern in the way that they kind of have the drums very simple, 4 on the floor. So I knew in that chorus I just wanted to go, right? So I wanted those hard-hitting things. So we've got a rhythmic change. Dynamics as well are brought up there. That's something that can help enhance the emotion. So dynamics play a big part in the song, but like I said, so rhythmically, we're changing that up there. But melodically, in the verses, I'm thinking about the notes that I'm singing. I'm fine. We're in E flat, so I'm starting on that B flat. I'm fine. It's always what I say when I'm lying, staring at the ceiling. So I know my highest note there's a C, but I'm sticking around B flat as like kind of the peak in the verse there. So in the chorus, I'm thinking almost like that's like the equator and I'm flipping above that to go into the chorus. So I'm still starting at B flat. And they tell me I'm supposed to forget you. So I'm going up a lot higher, going into my falsetto, so it changes tonally as well. And we have this big lift with the melody going up there. If you think about our equator again, we've got our verse in the B flat. I'm fine, always what I say when I'm lying. Then the chorus. And they tell me I'm supposed to forget you. So I'm trying to let you go, baby. And also thinking about the rhythm of the melody, because in the verses it's more like prose. You know, I'm having a conversation, telling a story. I'm fine, but it's always what I say when I'm lying. I've been staring at the ceiling. Right, it's more like you're telling the story, and there's more content, there's more density to the words. So in the chorus, I wanted to keep it simpler and have more space. Tell me I'm supposed to forget you. Right, you got almost 2 full bars of space there. So in those spaces, I'm also thinking, well, how to keep those spaces interesting, right? There's all these different things layering on top of each other while I'm writing the song. So I've got that space. So I'm trying to let you go. And here is where I've got this instrumental hook that, again, I'm kind of taking from yacht rock. It's a thing that usually happens on the keyboards. There's so many songs that use this. I mean, think What a Fool Believes, Love Theory by Kirk Franklin, All I Need by Jacob Collier, Get Used to It, was it Roger Voudorius? But it's such a common thing that I absolutely love. And so I've got that in there. So I'm trying to let you go. So there's a great hook that keeps the momentum going, while also helps drive that power in the chorus. And then I've got another hook as well. But how am I supposed to forget you? There's all these things kind of weaving together to keep the melody, the harmony, and the rhythm interesting and move these two chords to be more than just two chords, right? So we've got our first two verses there in a chorus, and then we come to Saoirse's verse. Now, when I was writing this, again, I knew I wanted it to be duet, but I do a lot of solo shows and I play a lot of stuff myself, so I can't always have a second person to come up and duet. So in my mind, I was thinking, how can I write this where if I performed the whole thing solo, it wouldn't sound strange? So when I was writing that third verse, I had in my mind, here's something that can either be a continuation of the first two verses or be a perspective shift. So I had the idea to start it the same way as the very first verse. I'm fine, but I can't get you out of my mind. So if I'm singing that, it's again a continuation of what I'm saying before. I'm fine, but I can't get you out of my mind. Every song you ever played for me, every picture on my phone, you've always been a part of everything I've ever known. So it's taking kind of the first and second verses and putting them together, right? We've got that first line, I'm fine, but I can get you out of my mind. And then, like in that second verse, we're grounded, right? It's everyday things. Every song you ever played for me, every picture on my phone. We've all been there, right? It's like songs that remind you of somebody. Do you choose to let that remind you of the good times or the bad times? And all the pictures in my phone. What do you do with those pictures? Are you gonna delete all those pictures, right? Are you gonna, take down everything on Instagram? Like that's kind of the world we live in nowadays, where you've got this entire collection of your history at the tip of your fingers. So what does moving on mean in terms of that? And the last line, you've always been a part of everything I've ever known. Just like in that second verse, we take it a little bit further. It's a little more emotional, a little more introspective, kind of encapsulating that idea of moving on, where, yeah, you've been a massive part of my life. What happens now? So like I said, if I'm singing that, it's a continuation of those first two verses. But when she's singing that, it's the other side of the coin. It's the perspective shift. And this is when the audience can kind of think, oh, she's feeling the exact same way. It's no longer just this one-sided thing, oh, woe is me, what do I do? It's, we've been through this big thing together, and now we're apart, feeling the same feelings. So I wanted to kind of explore that. Nobody's at fault. It's just, this is a situation that we're both trying to deal with in our own ways. And to the listener as well, as you're not alone if you felt like this, right? Everybody feels like that. So having her sing that really enhances that emotion. So we've got that third verse, and then she sings her own chorus, right? And has her own emotion to bring to it. And then we have the background vocals come in. And tell me I'm supposed to forget you? How can I? So I'm trying to let you go. So it's another hook, right? It's layering things on top of each other to keep the momentum going and give you a reason to listen to that chorus again. On top of it, hopefully just being catchy. So now we've got most of the song where we've got these two perspectives. Now in the bridge, I wanted to bring them together. And this is where it changed a bit, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do right away with the bridge. Because I'd had these two chords. And I'm like, can I keep doing that in the bridge in a different way? Maybe with like a different rhythm or something like that. Then I thought, no, let's take it somewhere completely different to give it an entirely different feel when we bring these two voices together. And that's when I had the idea to kind of take it outside of the key and go to this B major. And then back to the E flat. We're still hanging on that E flat, right? We always come back to that kind of home chord. But going outside of the key brings us out a little bit. It's a little bit more dreamlike, a little bit more, whoa, what's going on here? It's questioning. And we're also thinking rhythmically it changes too. Because in the choruses and the verses, each chord stays on for 2 bars. I'm fine, 2, 3, 4, 1. But that's always what I say when I'm lying. Right? So each of those gets 2 bars. Where in the bridge, each of these chords is only getting 1 bar now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have more momentum by changing chords faster. And so it gives a sense of urgency as well as that kind of questioning chords. So all of a sudden we're thrown into a bit of turmoil. Sometimes only just because we have that new chord change. We've had these only 2 chords for almost 2 minutes now. And then we throw in this new chord. Whoa, what's going on? And so I'm really proud of this bridge, how I put it together, because I knew I wanted to have me singing one half, Saoirse singing one half, and then we kind of go back and forth. And it's kind of this frenetic thing that keeps kind of oscillating back and forth until it builds to this final chorus where we sing everything together. So we've got that first part of the bridge. Do you think of me in the afternoons when the TV's on, but it's nothing new? Remember how we used to pass the time. And this part as well is changing how we think about each other, right? In the verses, we're in our own heads, right? I'm fine. It's always what I say when I'm lying. It's all about me. And same thing with Church's verse, like, every song you ever played for me, every picture in my phone, you've always been a part of everything I've ever known, right? It's all about what's happening to us. How are we feeling about this? And then in the bridge, we're thinking, how do they feel about this? What are they doing? So again, this is another kind of perspective shift where the tone changes, how we think about it changes, and this brings us closer together as the two different singers. Because in those verses, we're very separate, right? We have our own sections completely to ourselves. And again, it's very introspective, very about ourselves. And now the bridge is us kind of connecting the dots with each other. Like, are they thinking the same way? So that's when we're like, do you think, when Churchill comes in, will you go back to our usual place with the maid today, with the pretty face? Well, we'd always end up drinking too much wine. It serves a couple purposes. Like I said, it serves the purpose of thinking about the other person and also harkening back to the good times of the past, because I want this to be about how much good there's been in a relationship and how it is difficult to move on. So I want it to feel like, yeah, how do they do this? How is this possible? Because you think about, do you think of me? When it's something as simple as the TV turns on, what did they do when the TV was on sometimes? Stuff like that. And then something very specific like our usual place, where we used to go. It's something that you might pass by every day. It's a place you might still go to eat food. And the people that you meet together, like the maitre d'. I was really happy that I got the words maitre d' into a song. I'm really proud of that kind of second half of that bridge. I think that's some of my favorite lines that I've ever written. I think with most songs, in my brain, I think every song has a perfect set of lyrics out there in the universe, and you may or may not find them. But I'm always searching for them, and I think that part of the bridge is the perfect line I was searching for there, rhythmically. And in terms of syllables and rhyme scheme, it just sits really nicely, and I'm really happy with that. So that turned out really nicely. But anyway, so those are the kind of the themes that are happening in that bridge as we kind of go back and forth. And then we go, am I ever gonna see you again? Am I ever gonna see you again? And so now we're trading lines, moving back and forth. So like I was saying, that kind of oscillation of I have my own section, she has her own section. I have a bridge, she does have a bridge, and then we kind of go back and forth, line by line, line by line by line, and this kind of tension and electricity builds until the end of that bridge. Am I ever gonna see you? Am I ever gonna see you? Am I ever gonna see you again? We build this tension to this last, and they tell me I'm supposed to forget you. How can? Big band comes in, bow, bow. So I'm trying to let you go, let you go. And so, like I said, we got that big tension and then this drop as like kind of this introspection of like the tension's still there and it's almost more tense because nothing's happening while we're singing. How can I? And the band hits and it's this dissipation of tension, and all of a sudden we're together at the end of the chorus, talking to each other, talking for ourselves. It's this expression of emotion together. So like I said, it's the feeling of, even though this is difficult, we're not alone in feeling these different things. So that's kind of how I built that song. There's all these different things that I think about when I'm writing, not just lyrics, not just melody, not just harmony, all of it together, and how they interact with each other and how it flows through a song. And then on top of that, how it sits in an album, like I said, with keys and tempo and even just feel and stuff like that. So it's a song that I really loved writing, as you might be able to tell by my enthusiasm with a lot of the parts. And I think a lot of that was because of, like I said, those limitations I put on myself for, just have two chords, have it be duet. And that helps focus the writing a lot more as well. That gave me this immediate roadmap where I wasn't picking I didn't have every option in the world. I was like, oh, it has to conform to these parameters. But putting the limitations on yourself makes it personal. I know a lot of people who use prompts and stuff like that. And prompts are great, but I find them better for almost practicing writing than writing itself, because it can feel kind of stale if you're using a prompt that somebody else come up with. But if, like I said, if you look at your own patterns, understand them, and think, how can I flip those and make it still sound like me, then I think that's a really cool way to write something interesting and keep it fun. So that's what I had with this song, and I hope you enjoyed it. So let me know if you have any more questions about the song, any other songs you want to know more about as well. Leave those in the comments, like and subscribe as you do. But thank you so much for listening. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope to do more songwriting videos like this in the future. But yeah, thanks. I'll see you next time.
I'm supposed to forget you. I'm trying to